Hey guys, welcome to the Oracle Purpose channel. We are getting into part 2 of my testimony. In this video, we're going to talk about more about the mother wounds. I was pretty much giving a little bit of a backstory surrounding family dynamics of the situation surrounding my mom and dad. And in this video, we're going to break down the mother wound side and how that actually plays a part in a person's spiritual journey on this path, because a lot of times it's very common. I cannot speak for other, families from different nationalities and things, but I can definitely say when it comes to the Black community, there is a heavy generational space of mother wounds with the oldest daughter and the mother, right? Or there's just a lot of wounds where the mother can seem like she's more harder on the daughters than she is her sons. My mom had 5 children, and I'm the oldest out of her 5. It's me and my 3 sisters, and then the boys are younger. And I can definitely say that we were more disciplined and dealt with a lot harder from our mother than the boys were. Till this day, you still see the cycle of family dynamics of codependency issues for the boys. Constantly make excuses for them, and don't really have them work hard for everything compared to us girls, would. Even with my mother, till this day, there's still, at least with my other sisters, there's still a sense of dependency that she gets from them as her oldest children. And this is not to make, a video talking bad about my mother or trying to put her down and things like that. I think this is just a part of me speaking my truth and my testimony. And so there's this energy here where, as the oldest, and I know that some people can relate to this as the oldest child, there's always a heavy responsibility on the oldest child, right? And one of the issues that I had with the mother wounds is that even though I was a mama's girl growing up, because I wanted my mother's love and I wanted my mother's affection, she is not the affectionate type. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, I remember telling my mom I loved her a lot to start it, and she'll say I love you too. But I didn't really genuinely get like a I love you from my mother first until I was like 20 years old. And the only reason why I felt I finally got that from her is because I was, in a hospital for a week, and I feel like the only time I had experienced the times of vulnerability from my mother is when something happened to me, or if I was sick, the motherly instinct of her come out. And, there is no handbook about parenthood. My mother was young. We grew up with my mother, a child into a woman, into an adult, and all the mistakes she made along the way. But as the oldest child always sees the parent more than anyone else does. I've seen my mother's who she truly is in the inside, and I look deeply into her as a mirror. And I've always been out of all her children that mirror for her, where it's not easy for her to be around me. I feel like a lot of times to this day, if I'm around her, we can have genuine conversations and things like that. It's all love, but at the end, it's still this uncomfortable feeling of dis-ease around each other in some way. And it's because I'm a mirror to my mom. I bring out the parts of her she avoids because I know who she is compared to her other kids understanding her, And so with the mother wounds, I didn't receive enough affection. I didn't receive enough love. I feel like the biggest mistake that a lot of parents make is thinking just providing materially is enough, because that's all they understand. But it's just kind of like, it's more than just providing materially. Can you provide for me emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Let me know I'm not alone, And my mother's never been the type of person where she never had opened the door for that. However, when you have so much pressure of responsibilities on you as the oldest, things that you taking a parental role on things at a young age that you feel you shouldn't have done. And that's another thing when it comes to the cycles with a lot of mothers, I've noticed. And granted, my mother worked a lot, but this is how I've seen it when it comes to wisdom. If you know that you're working all these hours and you got all this money, buy help. Never still put that responsibility on your child. even if they are the oldest. Yeah, they can help here and there, watch your siblings, all those type of things, but ultimately taking on the heavy responsibility of a parental role for such a young age, no mother should do that. I don't care what mother it is, and a lot of mothers is kind of like, if I wasn't here, what would you have done? And when you are in that space of having to grow up young, seeing the responsibilities of parental energy young, yeah, I might not have to work, but heavy responsibilities in other areas, knowing how it felt when bills are not paid, all these things. And then being in this position where it's outside of my control because, well, you're supposed to be the parent, right? It was very stressful. It was very depressing. I remember I had my moments as a teenager where I just wanted to be left alone in my room at 14, 13 years old, all day, because I just felt the only way I had peace is a peace of mind in my room type thing. But it made me realize too that the mother wounds can run deep because it is generational. It's very generational, My Nana, my mom's mom, had abandoned my mother a few times and lacked the love and affection, not giving her the love that she deserved. And then my Nana's mother did the same thing to her. There was always a sense of abandonment with the mother wound, and it always surrounded abandonment in some way from the mother, whether it was emotional abandonment, physical abandonment, where she literally kicked somebody out, and all those things. I remember when my mom had got pregnant with me, my Nana threatened my mother that she'll take her from me if my mom didn't get married at 16 to stabilize her life. Or there has been times my Nana had abandoned my mother as a teenager, and then my mother didn't talk with my Nana for years up until her 30s. And not to put my mother's business out there. It's just, again, going into how the generational cycle is, even with me and my mother to this day. So you can see the energy, how like generationally things can pass down to generation in mother wounds. But mother wounds is more than just love and just affection. The mother is supposed to be a healing force. Why? Because divine femininity is the healing light. I should have known how it felt to be safe within myself as a woman, as a female. I should have known how it felt to be safe in my self-image. And that was another thing I experienced growing up as a teenager. I always was like a big girl in some way. I was always thick. Even in my younger years, 12, 13 years old, I had a fully developed body, looking like a grown-ass woman. And I remember as a teenager, like, they always say, like, oh, words don't hurt, but no, they stick. That's why words are spells. That's why words can psychologically stay in the back of your head. As they say in the scriptures, words and curses shouldn't come out the same mouth because words hold value more than people give it credit for. But I remember I was really heavy chested. I had to be like a double D at the time or even bigger. 14, 13 years old, fully developed, young lady. And I remember my mom used to go like, glad I don't got those. Better you than me. She didn't realize just saying those light slide things was creating psychological barriers of me not feeling good in my body image. Or, why is your eyebrow so bushy? I had thick, pretty eyebrows. They started to thin out as I got older. Or when I was a little girl, I used to have long, pretty hair. And then as I got older, my hair fell out. I just never been in that space where my mother ever made me feel like my self-image was good. She was always pointing out my flaws instead of enhancing to give me confidence in my beauty and spaces. She called out things that she wouldn't have wanted. And this was a projected trauma for sure because, I remember not long ago, last year or earlier this year, after me and my mother had got into it, which I never get into it with my mother, right? She had admitted to me that she still has issues accepting her self-image and body image. And I sat there and I thought, so you telling me this whole time I battled with body dysphoria from teenage years all the way to my adulthood because I was internalizing your shit and it wasn't never mine. And I remember growing up, my mom allowed me to get bigger. And see, this is a thing that a lot of people don't want to admit, right? I have a problem with mothers when they are fit and look their best and they look healthy, but then their daughters look bigger than them. I know that sounds weird. Judge me all you want. But if your child is under your roof and you see they're getting unhealthy, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger in size, and you're not doing anything about it, there's definitely something going on surrounding hidden jealousy or self-image issues being projected on a daughter. I don't care what anybody say. I don't care. Only because growing up, I have seen it firsthand personally with my mom. I was like damn near 300 pounds by the time I got 18. I remember I was at the doctor's office my 18th senior year with my mom, and it was like, you're hitting 300 pounds. And I cried. My mom allowed me to get bigger, and she didn't stop me. And I get it. And the thing is, as I got more healed into this, and we'll talk about how I healed through this, that she felt good I was bigger than her because I no longer looked more attractive than her. You seen your daughter getting bigger. You seen she was going through depression. She was emotionally eating and all these things because you put so much pressure onto her to be a parent on responsibilities you were supposed to do. Then after a while, she started to alienate me as a big girl. Sit in the middle of the vehicle. Who tells their child who is 300 pounds at the time that your 4 or 5,000 pound vehicle is going to be too much weight on one side because I'm heavy? And then she said that as I got bigger and bigger as I got older. It didn't stop. And there was plenty of time growing up. My mom used to go like, Jasmine, you need to lose weight, this, and that. Instead of you telling me that, because I know that, why don't you ask me where it derived from when it came to that situation? Where the self-image issues came from when you always called out my flaws in my body did not make me feel beautiful because of hidden jealousy, not realizing it was your projected insecurities. See, femininity deals with loving self-image. You know what I'm saying? And mother wounds can be based off of mothers who do be jealous of their daughters. Even if they don't want to admit it to themselves, they have an inner wound of not accepting loving them. So when their daughters is beautiful and they're their best looking self and their best personalities, it triggers them until they heal themselves. And that is the wound with a mother wound. Women are so powerful in their creativity because us women are love. We are love. And when we do not heal, it's destructive. Do you see what I'm saying? And we can see in a constant cycle in this space with the mother one because when a woman does not heal, she is destructive to other people. She's destructive to other females. You know what I'm saying? She's destructive to her own daughters. She's more harder on them because she had to have it hard. So why would I make it easy on my daughters? It's projected, gotta be masculine, gotta be hard in order to protect yourself. That's not femininity. That's mental conditioning due to trauma, unresolved emotional trauma as a woman. And so growing up, some of the things that was taught to me through mental conditioning was always self-sacrifice yourself. You think about yourself, you're being selfish, and that's not a good thing. Something my mom projected onto me being the oldest. I remember when I first started finally thinking about myself first. She was like, you're just selfish, you're just selfish. You're right. Because there's a difference between an unhealthy selfishness and a healthy selfishness. And this is one of the lessons I learned as I was trying to reheal and reprogram my femininity, my mother wounds. How can I learn to nurture myself? How can I learn to comfort myself, be soft towards myself, give myself love, give myself affection, give my blow myself up with confidence to say, Jasmine, you are beautiful just as you are. Love yourself in every current state of your being until you do desire to change. And when you do change, love every step along the way of that change. I had to learn to give the inner child Jasmine love. One of the things my friend taught me, which I already knew, but she kind of remembered, she sparked that understanding again. She was like, your inner child doesn't change going anywhere. It goes with you in all stages of yourself, which is true. Because in order to heal, you have to go back to the past and face the things that started it in the first place. And in this case, with mother wounds, I had to go back in the spaces that started that with the relationship with my mother. All of us as human beings, whether you are a man or a woman, mother wounds are, when it comes to the energy of love, it always starts with understanding the relationship with the mother. Because we represent love as women. The creator is love. We are love, right? Our first language surrounding love always starts with our mother. And how she is and how she does things with us determines how we love ourselves and other people and the type of relationships we deal with. Father wounds play a huge part in that as well, but mothers is the core of the being. Why? Because we come from them. All humanity comes from the mother. That's how powerful women are. And so I had to go back to the mental spaces to give comfort to Jasmine. Jasmine, you're beautiful. You're strong. You're gorgeous. Don't allow anyone to dim that light of yours. You're not here to make yourself small, to make other people comfortable. And one of the things I learned with my mother wound, even till this day that I'm learning to heal from and having this realization as I'm talking through this, is realizing that there's this energy that even my weight is a mother wound. Why? Because I allowed myself to become a big girl. This is things that some big girls will not admit. Not all big girls have the same story, but some will not admit this. And this is a raw truth, right? It's a mother wound because I allowed my self-image to get to a point where it's unattractive to the society norm to make other women feel comfortable. And it's because it was a subconscious practice done in my own home. I got to the point where I start lacking self-love for myself, not taking care of myself, eating and all the other extra stuff. Why? Because my mama wasn't trying to pay attention to me. She allowed me to get there. And these are the things that I feel like some parents will not admit, is they're not understanding that you should be paying attention to your children enough to know when certain things need to stop and certain behavior patterns, certain things you could avoid, or come to them and go like, baby, I'm starting to notice you're gaining more weight. What's going on with you? You could have stopped me. Why didn't you stop me? And at the end of the day, we are all responsible for ourselves. But we're talking about a teenager here who got to 300 pounds by the time she was 18 years old. When at 12, 13 years old, when all of those self-image and body dysphoria issues came into play, was implanted. When I was starting to grow in my, my womanhood a little bit, as a young lady in my preteens to early teens, and gaining an extra 100 or something pounds by the time I'm 18 years old. Are you getting that caught up in your own self and what you're doing in your life that you're not paying attention to your oldest like that? What people don't realize when it comes to weight, it's an energy hoarding thing too. And I was energetically hoarding my mother's wounds that was projected. These are things that you can also see in astrology as well. People who got moon squares, especially moon square Pluto, can take on addictive emotional patterns like that from the mother generationally. You can tell it's a generational wound whenever you get a moon square Pluto or moon square Saturn. Anytime you get moon squares to the outer planets like Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, or Pluto, it's always generational karma going on. And I apologize, guys, in the background because my friend talking to her kids. But it's an energy here where things need to be addressed in that. So, having this realization as I'm talking to you guys, I'm at the next step of my journey, starting my physical healing journey. I've worked so much on the mental and spiritual for so long. They like, now the inner work that you have done, now let's manifest it into the physical and your physical appearance that you've been doing. And It's been taking me a long time to finally love myself where I'm at, you know? But it made me realize that mother wound played a huge part into my size, my physical appearance, because my physical appearance was a shadow aspect of me feeling like if I was at my best and how I looked, that it would be a problem because that was a projected mother wound. Women that should have been uplifted in their physicality, their sexuality, their sensuality, their beauty. Because my mom's a beautiful woman, you know what I'm saying? So that is my story surrounding the mother wound space. When I was starting back in 2019, it made me realize those mother wounds started to seep into my love relationships. How? Because I started to become a mother to the men I was with. I was always attracting men, not just necessarily attracting men, but just happened to accept men in my life. Because you're always going to attract fuck people and good people. But it's up to you with your discernment who you decide allow in. And the people that you allow in your space and energy and relationships reflect you in some way you need to see in yourself. I started to realize because my mother put me so much in a mother role and lacking that motherliness from her, that I started to pour that motherly love into other people so much as a way to fulfill me instead of giving that to myself. I started to see me being the mother too much to my relationships. It started creating emotional codependency issues in female friendships and love relationships with males. And I was always trying to figure out, why do I constantly keep being treated like shit and being abandoned by the people that I'm just trying to give love to? But it made me realize I was mothering them because it was projecting things that I wanted them to feel that I needed to feel in myself. It was a reflective mirror space. And this is the downside to mother wounds. This is the action in your personal relationships with people that can happen where your mother wounds are not being aware of or worked on or not healed. You do start to mother people in your relationships, and being motherly can be unhealthy because healthy motherhood should have healthy detachments and boundaries, but it don't. Women weren't taught growing up in society to, you need to set healthy boundaries in your motherly energy, in your womanhood. Your women are taught to self-sacrifice all the time, that they don't matter, that they're only treated objectively. And I was programmed in that type of reality at that time. And I'm thinking in my head, confused, why is it that when I'm doing this, why am I getting treated like shit by people? Oh, because you're too nice, you're too sweet. Oh, because I lack boundaries. Got it. Well, I didn't grow up with those kind of boundaries. My mom didn't teach me that because she taught me to be used by her. I was always someone who was very financially resourceful. What did I do? Over gave a lot because I love people. I love to love. I'm a lover girl, you know. And so as I got older and I got married, that was the ultimate test. Baby, their mother wounds came up heavy in my marriage with my ex-husband. And we'll talk about this on another part of my testimony surrounding my love life, because that is a whole nother thing that intertwines with all of this as well on my self-love journey. But he was the epitome of bringing up those mother wounds because I was constantly emotionally abandoned by him, to the point where I got so numb, right? I got so numb and lost in myself that I was suicidal at the time. Never ever thought about taking my life, but he had to take me to that dark place by his treatment to make me realize, oh, this is a deeper, darker aspect of myself I got to deal with. Because had I nurtured myself and loved myself and mothered myself, I would have never allowed this man to get me to this space emotionally, with emotional abuse, emotional abandonment. It just kept, it's like he kept being that mirror of being the teacher to remind me what I went through with my mom, just in a different form. You know what I'm saying? And so what did I do after I got to that space? I started my healing journey in 2019, and I went back to the space where I had to address the little girl Jasmine, not the current Jasmine, because the adult Jasmine, yeah, I am still feeling that emotional neglect from my mother, you know? where she still does not prioritize me at her oldest at 32 years old when I ask her and need something. But we talking about the little girl Jasmine. When she needed her mother the most, she never protected her. When I needed her to protect me, she didn't. Now, granted, I take that back. In the situation with the man I grew up with in the house that she was with, she didn't protect me. When it came to me going to daycares and stuff, I do remember seeing my mama, stand up for me and go like, do not touch my kid. Anybody that touched anyone who touched me in public settings, my mom wasn't playing that shit. So I do remember my mother going to hell and high water, even fighting people for, ever trying to harm me. But when it came to the man she was in a relationship with, I feel like that was a projected wound space for her because my mother had her own trauma from a past where she wasn't protected in that space from someone close to her like that. So she didn't know how to deal with that. Until this day, I think she doesn't still know how to be upfront and admit what it is. And maybe she has had her moments where she has thought, reflecting on these things, but I don't think it's really had her sit and soak in it. So when I was starting my healing journey, I had to go back to the inner child Jasmine and say, what would you want to tell this little girl Jasmine at this time? I love you. You are important and you are safe. But the main thing that hit the core of my being out of all of those things to my inner child was, you are safe. Because safety comes from the mother. It's not just protection from the father. Who is the first person who's supposed to protect you coming from the womb? Your mom. A mother's protection and a father's protection is two completely different things. Because we have the closest soul tie to our mother because they carried us. They connected with us. We are a part and attached to our mothers with a way stronger soul tie than our dad. Our dads did not have to carry us for 9 months and build a spiritual connection. Our mothers go through spiritual initiations to birth us through this earth side. It's a completely different thing. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, I had to go back to that space to say, let me mother Jasmine. Instead of looking for my mother for constant validation, the little girl yearning for her love and affection, let me mother her. Let me protect her. Since you ain't gonna do it, mama, I'ma do it for me. She taught me that all of us, whether our parents was there for us or not, to do that for ourselves. That's how we heal our mother wounds. When's the last time you protected yourself? You set boundaries. You stood up for yourself. You spoke up your truth and stood up for yourself when something was going wrong or disrespectful to you. That's all motherly instincts that you should give to you as a mother to yourself. And that's what I had to learn on my healing journey when it comes to these mother wounds, because they're deep. They're a huge part of our identity as a woman. And I did not want to be defined by my past. I wanted to be defined by love. And that is the key to healing the mother wounds, is self-love. Self-love comes with nurturing the self, loving the self, supporting the self, setting healthy boundaries, prioritizing yourself first, taking care of yourself and your needs above other people's. Why? Because you ain't no good to nobody if you ain't doing it for you first. How in the hell are you going to be able to be there for everybody and tell it and do the things that you want to do for others and you can't even show up for you? That is how you heal mother wounds, with acknowledgement. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is so deep because it's psychological. This is the reason why the collective is going through the divine feminine healing. Divine feminine energy is Christ consciousness. And Christ consciousness is healing. It's the light energy. It's the energy of duality with light and dark. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see all of us women go through all kinds of moods, go up and down in our energies, because we are connected to everything around us as women. Our wombs is truly connected to the universe because it's a portal. You see what I'm saying? And it's just, It's really, really super deep because we are the gatekeepers between the spirit realm and the earth realm, going through birthing processes. We're so powerful. And I am going to give knowledge on this, on how we can heal the mother wounds, because I'm going to give knowledge on this after this video, actually. I'll be coming out with more information on this because the objective is getting back to self at the purest form. Who were you at your purest form as a child? And give her love, give her nurturing. And the mother wounds, baby, is not just your inner child. It's at every stage you developed yourself as a female. Your mother wounds as a child, your mother wounds as a teenager, your mother wounds as a young woman, your mother wounds as a grown woman. There's layers and psychological barriers to that shit. Because each part of that stage of yourself was different. You're a completely different person. And this is stuff that we don't talk about. We're changing, evolving people. We are limitless beings. We have to address every layer to the mother wounds of the psyche. Some of y'all are still comfortable around y'all mothers after she's abused y'all. Because when it comes to parents, forgiving them comes with acceptance. But where the issue comes in is when you're not validating your pain and trauma, what they did, and you just sweep shit under the rug like nothing ever happened. That's the worst thing you can do when it comes to parental trauma, especially to mother wounds, because mother wounds plays a huge part of you connecting with your emotions, and emotions is energy that moves. And when emotions is not being addressed, it stores in a body, which can start creating diseases and ailments in the body, right? So mother wounds plays a huge part in emotional regulation. That's one of the reasons why a lot of women who got PCOS, endometriosis, infertility issues, that plays a part into the mother wounds, because it's our sexual organs, our creative force, our emotional regulations, our hormones. If we're not dealing with our mother wounds in the healthiest way, this is when women start to have those type of issues reproductive wise. Because there's something not regulating energetic spiritually in balance. It's an imbalance to your femininity. It's an imbalance to your core you as a person. There's this energy of guilt and shame for yourself and who you are, because you have been projected like something's wrong with you, because you can't be accepted in the true essence of your femininity. And these are things that's not talked about, because even sexuality has been demonized. And that plays a huge part in mother wounds. Sexuality is power, baby. That's creative energy, where the sacral chakra is. You got some women out here who grew up with just jealousy, fighting with each other, warring with each other. That's masculine shit. This patriarchal system done got all of us messed up with the mother wounds here, because there's no community. Feminine energy is community. Mothers are community. Back in the matriarchal days, back in the day, even ancestrally, women were sisterhoods. Women had sisterhoods, they had community, they provided for one another, especially new mothers who had postpartum issues. These are things that are needed again. And I love this coming into this, divine feminine coming back. Because that is what true Christ consciousness means. It's coming back with the feminine energy of healing the mother wounds to the world. Because what we're missing is love. And that is mother. And it starts with us women needing to heal back to the core of ourselves for that again. And this is what I had learned on my testimony, where I'm at now, understanding I am the matriarchal to awaken women back to self-love, because self-love is the cure to heal the mother wounds. So I'm super excited about this, because this comes with self-acceptance. This comes with understanding to give yourself love and compassion even through your flaws. Validating your emotions without judgment, no matter what kind of emotion it is. We're going to talk more about emotional regulation skills, more ways of self-love concepts, self concepts to the self and how we see ourselves. All of these play a part in the mother wounds and healing them. So I love you guys. Hopefully, this part of my testimony surrounding the mother wounds resonated. And I will talk to you later.